boys and girls, we're back for one more chapter in Hurry Up Houdini. We're on chapter 3. Chapter 3 is called S-O-L-D-O-U-T. Do you know that's sold out? I wonder what is sold out. The boat splashed into the lake and shot under the arched bridge. Then it bounced into the air, splashing water everywhere. Jack closed his eyes and ducked his head. All the teenagers screamed. For a moment, the boat seemed to fly. Then it landed back on the lake and steadied itself. Jack opened his eyes and looked around. Annie was laughing with the other passengers on the boat as it glided peacefully across the water. Everyone seemed to be having fun, but Jack's heart was thumping and his stomach felt queasy. The boatman docked the boat and helped everyone onto the landing. The passengers scattered into different directions. "Okay, time to go to the theater," said Annie. "Wait, I need to sit for a minute," said Jack. "I thought you were desperate to get our tickets," said Annie. "In a minute," said Jack. He pointed to the terrace that bordered the lake. "How about sitting over there?" "Sure," said Annie. "Are you okay?" "I will be," said Jack. "Come on." Jack and Annie climbed a couple of steps to the terrace and sat at the end of a crowded bench. All around them, people in costumes were hawking tickets for different rides. "Step this way, ladies and gentlemen. Enter the Dragon's Gorge, greatest roller coaster in the country," shouted a man wearing a dragon's head. "Over here, the Buzzard's Roost," called a boy in a bird's outfit. "Greatest train ride on earth." "Come to the Babbling Brook," yelled a girl dressed as a mermaid. "Greatest water ride in the U.S. of A." Funny. Sounds like everything in Coney Island is the greatest, said Jack. "So," said Annie. "So that means that nothing is really the greatest," said Jack, "because everything's the same." A woman said. The woman laughed, sitting on the bench. Jack realized they were sitting next to the short couple from the Shoot the Chutes ride. Their big hats almost completely hid their faces. "Did you hear that, Harry?" the woman said to the man. "This boy's a genius." "Ain't that the truth, Bess?" Harry said. "Don't say ain't, dear. Say isn't," said Bess kindly. Harry smiled at Jack and Annie. "Isn't that the truth?" he said. "See, my Bess is always looking out for me." Jack and Annie smiled politely. "Is this your first time to Coney Island, kids?" asked Harry. "It is," said Annie. "Yours too?" "Oh, no," said Bess. "No, no, no. We first met here on Coney Island 15 years ago. We got married 3 weeks later." "Congratulations," said Annie. "It was a long time ago," said Bess. "But I'm more crazy about him than ever. And he writes me a love note every single day, rain or shine." "That's so sweet," said Annie. "Are you kiddos having a good time?" asked Harry. "I am," said Annie. "Good," said Bess. Then she turned to her husband. "Time's running out, Dreamboat," she said. "We'd better get moving." "Can we get an ice cream cone now?" Harry asked. "No. You know the routine. Ice cream always comes after the show," Bess said. "If we want to take a trip to the moon, we gotta go now." Harry looked at Jack and Annie. "She always wants to send me to the moon," he said. Jack and Annie laughed. "You kiddos want to join us?" asked Harry. "I'm sorry, we can't," said Jack. "We have to do something else." "Hey, do you know where Henderson's Music Hall is?" "Sure, why do you want to know?" asked Bess. We're going to see the Great Houdini," said Jack. "What a coincidence," said Bess. "We're going there too, after our trip to the moon. I adore that man, the Great Houdini. I wouldn't miss watching that dreamboat for anything in the world." Harry cleared his throat. "Sweetheart, they want directions," he said. "Oh, yes," said Bess. "So walk the main road there to the arches, then take the exit at the park." She pointed to the giant colored arches in the distance. "Then turn right and head down Surfs Avenue. When you see the big red building, stop. That's it." "Cool," said Jack. "Thanks." "So long, kiddos. Maybe we'll see you later at the Great Houdini show," said Harry. "And when you watch the show," said Bess, "remember, even though everything can't be the greatest, sometimes what folks call great really is great." Harry laughed. He tipped his straw hat to Jack and Annie, and he and Bess walked away. "I like them," said Annie. "Me too," said Jack, and he stood up. Talking with the cheerful couple made him feel better. "Okay, let's get our tickets, finally." Jack and Annie stepped down from the terrace and walked up the broad avenue towards the arches. At the arches, they passed the ticket sellers selling tickets for the red chariot. "Hurry back to Luna Park," one shouted. "We will, don't worry," said Annie. Jack and Annie left Luna Park and stepped onto Surfs Avenue. "Bess said to go right," said Jack. As Jack and Annie started up the crowded sidewalk, they passed horses and buggies and old-timey cars. The warm summer nights filled with the sounds of hoofs clomping and horns honking. "Auga, auga." "There it is," said Jack. He pointed to a large red building with green trim. A big sign hung over the awning that read, "Henderson's." A huge crowd of people had lined up on the sidewalk in front of the theater. "Oh man, look at that line," said Jack. "This is why I wanted to get here early." Jack and Annie ran to the end of the line, where some teenagers were joking and pushing each other. "Is this the line to buy the tickets?" asked Annie. "Nah, this is the line for the folks who already got theirs, like us," said a tough-looking voice, "so scram." "Forget it," said Jack. He pulled Annie along. "We have to find the box office." At the front of the theater, there was a chalkboard that read, "Magic tonight. 8:15, the Bambini Brothers. 9 o'clock, the Great Houdini. Tickets here." Jack hurried to the window beside the chalkboard. He was surprised there was no line. "Excuse me," he said, trying to get the attention of the ticket seller. She was talking to the man inside the office. "You're not listening to me, Mrs. Crenshaw," the man shouted. "This is the end of the world, I tell you. They will destroy the theater." "Excuse me," Jack said again in a louder voice. "Would like to buy two?" "They'll start a riot. They'll tear the seats apart," the man shouted. "Mercy, mercy, my heart." He clutched his chest and nearly collapsed. "Should we get help?" asked Annie. Mrs. Crenshaw looked down at Annie and shook her head. "No, dear. Mr. Dewey will be fine," she said. She rolled her eyes. "Yes, get help, please, get help," Mr. Dewey croaked, wiping his brow with his handkerchief. "Find me a new opening act." "A what?" said Annie. "The Bambini Brothers ran off," said Mr. Dewey. "I caught them red-handed, stealing from the box office." "That sounds terrible," said Annie. "You have no idea, Missy," cried Mr. Dewey. "They were the opening act for the Great Houdini." He wiped his sweaty face again. "The hooligans in the crowd will go crazy if the curtain's late." "I should have got into the shoe business instead of show business." Jack felt sorry for the man, but he didn't really care about the Bambini Brothers. He just wanted tickets for the Great Houdini. "Excuse me," he said to Mrs. Crenshaw. "Would like to buy 2 tickets for the big show, the one with the Great Houdini." "Sorry, kids, but didn't you read that?" Mrs. Crenshaw said. She pointed to a sign in the window. The sign read, "Sold out." "Oh, no, we didn't see that," said Annie. "You're sold out?" said Jack. "Yes," yelled Mr. Dewey. We sold out an hour ago. SOLDOUT. So it's a full house with no opening act. Go away now, please. We've got problems, big problems." And with that, Mr. Dewey slammed the box office window